Rigetti stock has been one of the top quantum companies alongside D-Wave and IonQ. And in the conversation with Google and Microsoft, this company has seen a lot of growth from big outside investments recently and has some projections that are still holding fairly positive over the long term. Now, in the short term, we are looking at some near term corrections for companies in the quantum space, probably due to this massive surge we've seen recently. We started covering Rigetti stock at around $1 a share. We've seen it make runs up to $21 before correcting down to $6 and has recently surged to about $39 a share here after correcting from $58 a share. So when we're looking at the companies, a few questions you got to ask yourself. First is, how does the quantum computing market look? Are we in a market right now where it's just optimism, it's just hype, or are we really seeing real world usage from these companies? And first of all, when it comes to the financials of this market in quantum computing, it's not any secret that we're seeing massive influx of capital. In fact, if you look at all the companies and you search at quantum here, we've seen almost a 10x on the entire quantum industry over the last 6 months. Most news around quantum computing, you got D-Wave after they've plummeted a little bit. You got this quantum computing stock that's up 3,000%. And they're talking about Rigetti here on NASDAQ. Part of the reason why they're talking about potential risk right now is because the CEO just sold $11 million in stock. Now, the reason I wouldn't get too worried about something like that is because you do see more tailwinds for quantum. You got quantum echoes algorithm, so 13,000 times faster than classical supercomputers. This is a recent announcement there from Google, and then that's straight from Google. And the reason why a lot of quantum computing firms are seeing growth is because you have also big funding from the US government. So the government aims to boost more investments in quantum technology. And on the bills that you're looking at, a lot of the companies mentioned are IonQ and Rigetti and what have you. So there's more momentum in the quantum market. But is there real world usage continuing? Well, if we look at Rigetti stock, for example, as they've jumped up to new extreme highs, right, up to $58 a share, then pulling back down. They just bounced a 200-day moving average. So it kind of indicates that they are still holding this kind of uptrend. And if you look at some of the movement that we've seen with them right now, you can kind of get an idea here. We have some levels, this previous resistance here that they bounced around that 200-day moving average, where they could be continuing bullish. But when we look at their technical approach, their different levels of innovation and how they're approaching this quantum computing market, it's not something that necessarily is seeing tremendous real world usage. At least if you're going to be measuring them by partnerships, then yes, they're looking very good. You see them at Microsoft or AWS, and you can look at their distribution channels at Microsoft. You can go to Microsoft and you can see that they're available to tap into through the cloud via Microsoft Ignite, or not Ignite, I think it's Azure here. And you can see IonQ is there as well as some other quantum companies. But the reasoning behind the okay, they got the distribution channels is exactly that. It's distribution channels, but we haven't seen the revenues kick in. And so when we're looking at the recent developments, they have had more deployments of their quantum computers. So if we look at some of the news they've announced, they had some purchases back in September of their quantum computers. They sold approximately $5.7 million for 2 quantum computing systems. They're Novera there that they sold. And then you have the $5.8 million Air Force Research Laboratory contract. So they're working with the Air Force in the research laboratory there. They're working with Montana State University after Montana State acquired one of the Rigetti Novera QPUs and installed it. It's going to be available there. But they're getting it out there, but are they seeing the revenue? You know, you see the equity, you see them build their balance sheet. We're still watching for these next earnings that are coming up. They're not reporting this next week, but you do have some good companies like Amazon. I think Apple's reporting this next week. And while they've come out with more fidelity and increasing here, it's all good, but honestly, you got to look at the financials here. The financials for Rigetti, we kind of pull that up. You're going to see that they're at this $12 billion market cap. Now, that could be nothing compared to where they would be 5, 10 years from now if they're going to continue to innovate how they have. But one thing we were talking about in, StockMate, for example, where we trade live every morning at market open, and also you got a bunch of members in there that are investing. And we talk about the press releases and some of the financials, and the different things that come out. And Lawrence is coming in with some great press releases from data center companies and things like that, is that we talk about that approach, which is the financials. You could look at the hype around quantum. You can look at the bills getting passed, or you can look at the potential for the technology to help AI scale. I mean, what if GPUs work in tandem with QPUs in the future, and that's a go-to solution for computing power for AI? Now you have quantum computing companies that, if they're riding the AI boom, could be worth hundreds of billions of dollars. And so that's why you see them trading so premium right now. But you're still looking at the income statement. You got to look at the income statement and say, is this really what we want to see? Is this super high valuation when they haven't brought in revenue? They're still only bringing in $1, maybe $2 million a quarter, and they're losing money per quarter, losing about 200 million last year. And then this year they're on track to maybe have a positive net income. But the balance sheet, it's up there to 600 million. Does it justify the $12 billion market cap? From a financial perspective, no, it doesn't. But from a potential for the quantum computing company to see more growth as they scale with AI, and you see Willow jumping in, or Google and Microsoft and a lot of big tech companies. AMD recently partnered with IBM for quantum computing. So that means, quantum is reliant on GPUs working with them, but they're also GPUs could be reliant, or GPU companies could be reliant on QPUs, quantum computing technologies, for the next level of scale in the computing power. And so with the recent announcements from quantum in the developments by Google that indicate that they're working on extremely high-tech problems, we're talking about down to the molecular, or not even the chemical, high-level chemical reaction, but down to the atomic level. When you have them focusing on the qubits that are scaling up almost every single month, and they're on track here to get to, I think right now Rigetti is on track to get to 100 qubits. If we look at where they're at right now, their latest that they're working with right now, let's see where they got 82 qubits here on the Anka 3, and they're looking to get to 100. And so with that growth up to, let's say, 100, then it's 1,000, and more qubits means more computing power, and they're not going to scale without fidelity improving as well, which they have been improving. And so I don't want to get too nitty gritty, but basically what you need to know is, from a financial perspective, they're still lagging. From a financial investment perspective, they're way ahead. They're seeing increased positions, 255 increased positions according to NASDAQ here in the institutional holdings, seeing more investments from BlackRock and Vanguard, and that's increased. You can see that they've jumped up in share value. They're increasing the institutional ownership on the company. And so the reason why is because of where, most companies, the biggest misses in investments or losses are the ones that they missed, not the ones that they took advantage of. And so Rigetti could be a big miss if you see quantum computing right in front of you, and yes, it's far off, but what if it's not as far as people think? And you can get a piece of it now. And so essentially, maybe you have some FOMO even kicking in. I mean, does Vanguard really understand quantum? Does BlackRock really understand quantum? I think JP Morgan really understands quantum. They actually had they have one of the smaller positions, but they were one of the companies that was working with quantum when I went to a recent quantum conference in New Mexico. And they're not even the biggest investor here. And so does Charles Schwab really know? Does State Street really know? Or are they investing because they're saying, hey, we don't want to miss this? But do they really understand the technology? It's still, in the development phase, and we're seeing these quantum computers are fairly far away from the full implementation. But I can tell you, like, being someone that's gone to the conferences and we're looking at the projections, the company's still projected to go up over the next year, according to our AIs. And it's interesting because you see some of the corrections in the near term. I mean, after this recent push up, it's been very good for them. But $38 a share, I mean, we're just covering them around $1 a share. This is a 38x. And I could tell you from somebody that's working, and this is our app here for AI analysis, we are also working on implementing Rigetti technology and IonQ technology, underlying technology, into our stock analysis. And so, and when that is something we have officially operating in our application, I would imagine that would be something we were going to, see as an indicator. We're really the only financial company that's working on integrating the quantum tech into the analysis. But we're using right now. If you wanted to take a look, it's the first link in the description, and I've developed this with our team here. Grok, OpenAI, Claude, and Gemini, the best AI models in the world. We get the best data in the world. So we'll go, when I'm showing you guys institutional holdings here, or like, let's say the buy and sell orders, or the insider trading, or the charts as we're looking at here, we integrate that all into the analysis for the stocks. And so we're working on it right now, and I'm thinking in the near term with Rigetti, we're going to see more growth related to the AI developments if they're integrated. And that's the key here. Can they be integrated more efficiently? And there are some different companies that are allowing that to happen, because it is hard to integrate. There's an interesting company called QBraid, which I've been able to meet the CEO at one point. He's from this quantum background, and he integrates with the quantum computing companies, and we've been using them to basically integrate. And so I tell you all this so that quantum is definitely something that's going to be most likely on the front page of AI. It's just a matter of when. Right now it is. Will it sustain? I'd say it's not really building sustainability in the hype cycles, but in the longer term, it's definitely looking like a technology we'll continue to invest in. I have long-term positions in Rigetti. Of course, the entries we had were back, under the $10 a share, and we that was just about 8-10 months ago. And so the volatility is there. You see this correction recently, and what we'd want to watch for on Rigetti stock, you see this dip down. It's still dipping, and it hasn't really fully recovered and continued up. So with a nice bounce there on the 22nd, we're still looking at somewhat of a downward pressure on Rigetti. And that's why in the near term, when we're looking at the analysis, we are, according to Grok and a lot of companies, we're seeing this negative projection over the next day, next week here. So just keep that in mind. The downward pressure is real. Nearest support level that's pretty strong is going to be around that $35 price point, or $35 price point support level. And then the nearest resistance is going to be around 43, 44, right around here. And so we'll be watching there throughout the week. There's a lot of quantum companies to watch. There's a lot of space tech and data center companies. So if you want to learn how to invest in them, I would encourage you to simply have a look at the second link below. We'll be there tomorrow morning at market open, as we are every day, Monday through Friday. It's not here on YouTube. It's something that's separate. You get a link for it, and I would love to see you there. You can learn the technical and fundamental analysis. And if you'd like to learn about what's driving these companies and these markets, then I would encourage you to have a look again. It's the live trading sessions Monday through Friday. You can see my entries, see my exits, and surround yourself with other investors. We got some targets coming out later today for the week as we release targets for the upcoming week from the companies reporting earnings. You can see daily live trading is happening at 16 hours. So again, it's a second link below, and we got a special sale for you related to the data center boom that we're in. So I appreciate you all. If I earned your thumbs up, hit the like button. If you want to get your hands on this tool, it's going to be the first link in the description. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.